What is up? What is up? What is up, awesome people of the internet? Hello, guys. Happy Friday, everybody. We have made it to the end of the week, so I am happy about that. We don't have a happy topic to talk about today, but we will be moving on and talking about better stuff. So, guys, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening. The bottom of this thing says the WNBA in chaos because that's what the WNBA is. It is this season has. It's like that, you know, that phrase. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It feels like that's the WNBA right now. It feels like we're in the best of times where we're seeing record breaking stuff all the time. Attendance, broadcast ratings, all that stuff, merch sales, best of times. We're seeing lots of money being made in the world of women's basketball, specifically in the WNBA. Lots of growth. You're seeing attention being paid to the WNBA in ways that it has never been paid to the WNBA before. The best of times. And then you have the worst of times. You have a ton of attention, positive attention, and the negative attention that has come through. We are seeing players get attacked on social media. We are seeing players have to deal with death threats. We are seeing players have to deal with crazy stuff being yelled at them at games, which, of course, players, that happens with athletes. But we're seeing a level of vitriol that I have never seen in the WNBA. The worst of times. We're seeing a lot of media coverage, which is great. But we're also seeing media know that they can get a lot of attention and drive a lot of views and money and all that stuff by pitting players against each other. And yes, rivalries, that's a thing and whatnot, but it's getting to the point where it's like, you don't care about these people at all. These people are not human beings to you. These people are meal tickets. These players that you're talking about with these narratives, they are meal tickets to you. They are meal tickets, and you are going to milk that thing until it's worth nothing. And then you're going to move on to the next person or the next thing, the newest, hottest topic, right? And there's no care at all, no real care about the fact that we're actually dealing with actual humans. These are real people. This is not a simulation. This is not a video game. These are real people, right? We are, from a fan perspective, best of times. We're seeing lots more fans come out to games and whatnot, which is great. Worst of times, most of the WNBA teams this year have dramatically rose on prices. Dramatically. Case in point, two of the highest profile risings of tickets is the Chicago Sky, who basically doubled prices in every thing. Basically every seat was doubled. My tickets were doubled. You have the New York Liberty. Also, their tickets went sky high. So it's sort of like with every positive that we are seeing in the WNBA, we're seeing negatives, right? Again, it is the best of times for the WNBA, and it is the worst of times, all at the same time. And in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the recent things that have happened in the WNBA, and then we're moving on, guys. Y'all know I love the WNBA. I love talking about women's basketball. I love it. Truly, truly love it. I don't like covering, terrible stuff. I don't like covering the WNBA in chaos. I don't. I think it's a severe distraction for what has truly been a remarkable season. All this negative stuff, all this terrible stuff. It's just like we are losing the plot, guys. We're losing the plot. Women's basketball is, in my opinion, one of the most entertaining sports there is. It's my favorite sport. And I feel like we're losing the stuff that actually happens on the basketball court and talking about all this other stuff that's distracting us from the fact that we are in the playoffs right now. We're in the playoffs right now. We have 4 amazing teams that are left, right? We got the Connecticut Sun versus the Minnesota Lynx. They're going to be battling in the semifinals. We have the New York Liberty versus the Las Vegas Aces. We have the finals rematch that is about to be happening in a couple days, and all eyes and ears when it comes to women's basketball is on the Chicago Sky and the dumpster fire that seems to be happening. It's on journalists, right? In this one, in this video in particular, I'm going to be talking about Christine Brennan and her questions to Dejanay Carrington and how the WNBPA ended up making a statement, and now like for all the exit interviews and whatnot, you're seeing all the conversation and all that stuff is about address the fans, address these people who are saying this stuff. Again, we're losing the plot. We have had such a remarkable season. We really have. And all of this feels like it is just meant to tear down the W. It's like all of this, if we just continue to wallow in this horrible headline here, da 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 da. We're going to turn it. It's going to turn more people away from ultimately the goal, which I have, is to engage with women's basketball and rock with women's basketball. So we're going to talk about the reason why I'm going to talk about these two topics, the Christine Brennan one and the Teresa Weatherspoon one, is because for 2 reasons. One, because I want there to be just a record of what happened. That's not crazy opinionated. That's not crazy biased. I'm going to just present to you all the facts. You all can make up whatever thoughts y'all want to make about this stuff. So I want there to be a place where people can go, just quick, what happened? No spin, just what happened. And then 2, I want this to be a turning point for W fans, for women's basketball fans, because we have to get back to the main thing, which is the fact that the WNBA is in the playoffs right now. All right? We have to get back to what we're meant, like, we have to get back to the game. And so that's what this video is. I feel like I've had, basically 3 straight live streams of like pretty negative stuff. Yesterday was the Nilissa Smith thing. And then while I was doing the Nilissa Smith video, I heard about the teaspoon thing. So I hopped back on and talked about that. And now we have this conglomeration of 2 things. After this channel is moving on. If you all ask me in the future about my comments about whatever that's negative, I'm done for a while. This is too much. This is too much. And this is very annoying for someone who just truly just loves the hoops of it all. All right? So yeah, we're going to get into it. And we're going to move on. And that's going to be it on this channel. After this stream, if y'all want to engage further on these topics, there are a boatload of other places y'all can go for y'all to engage in that. Okay. If there's like dramatic updates after I do this stream, maybe I'll mention it as a segment in something else, but we're not doing this as a separate video anymore. Okay. Because I am over it. All right, so let's get into the facts. Let's get into the specifics of what has happened. Guys, as Lindy is saying in the chat, please be respectful. This is not, for those who do not know me, for those who do not know the coverage that I do, I am not a hater of certain players. All right. So if you come on here and you're like, oh, you just hate this, you hate that, that's not me. Maybe that's another person. Not me. Okay. So please don't come in here in the chat and assume you know who I am and what I'm all about if you have not actually watched my videos. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's get into it. All right. So the first topic we're going to cover, is about Christine Brennan. Also, guys, if y'all could please hit that like button for me one time, that really does help the channel and help more people find this video. If y'all could, that would be absolutely great. Yeah, it really does help the channel out a whole lot. Hit that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want real coverage about women's basketball and the WNBA from someone who actually loves the game of women's basketball and actually watches the game of women's basketball. All right, so let's get into it. So Christine Brennan got in the headlines a couple days ago. And the WNBPA, which is the Players Association, they did release a statement about it today. That is why I'm covering it. For those who do not know who Christine Brennan is, she is a journalist. She is a sports columnist. Her primary gig is that she writes for USA Today, which is a news publication. Has been around for a long time. She also sometimes appears on ABC, CNN, PBS NewsHour, and NPR. So that's her thing. She's a journalist, been that way for a long time. She also is a book writer. She's wrote several books so far. She is a bestseller. Another thing to note, guys, is that she, in relation to the WNBA, is she's actually writing a book right now. So Christine Brennan posted on X last month saying that she's in Indiana working on a new book on Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports. And she said it will be a journalistic look at Clark and the unprecedented interest in her and women's basketball, and the book will be out in 2025. So Christine Brennan, she covers a lot of sports, but specifically for the last month or so, she's been really, really honed in and focused on the Indiana Fever, specifically on Caitlin Clark. Okay, so as we get into that, just kind of have that in your brain, right? Have that in your brain as we sort of walk through this. Her focus is not on the WNBA at large. Her focus is on Caitlin Clark because that's what her book is about, right? That is her book. That is what her book is about. It's going to be, again, it's going to be on Caitlin Clark and the unprecedented interest in her and women's basketball. Okay, so that's what she's covering. All right, and so I want to the topic that actually has garnered a lot of attention is a recent question or back and forth that she did with Dejanay Carrington after game one. So this was after game one, and she has a question to Dejanay, and we're gonna watch the video that Christine Brennan put out about that interaction, and then we're gonna see what what the WNBPA had to say as a response, okay? And again, keep in mind the fact that her focus really is on Caitlin. So yeah, keep that in mind as you listen to her questions. Okay. 1 second. Let me. All right, let's play the video.
Desjardins, did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her, so I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened. With the increased...
Desjardins?
All right, let's play that one more time.
Yeah.
Did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her, so I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened. With the increased...
All right, so that was the questions that Christine Brennan asked. She wanted to know, was it intentional about poking Caitlin in the eye? And if you all have played basketball for any amount of time, you know that it is actually very, very possible to get hit in the eye and to accidentally hit someone in the eye. You know that, when you're going up for a block or trying to block a shot or trying to contest a shot, your arm goes up in the air, and eventually your arm can't stay in the air. It eventually has to go down. And sometimes players can get poked in the eye. You may notice that some basketball players, they actually wear eye protection, right? You see some players wear goggles. Now, do some of those players need goggles because they can't see and they wear glasses? Yes. But instead of using contacts, they decide to use goggles to protect their eyes. They don't want to get poked in the eye. Some players have gotten poked in the eye a lot. It hurts. It's not fun getting poked in the eye, but it's a thing that happens in the game of women's basketball. And Christine asked Desjardins, was that intentional? And then she asked about Marina and Desjardins laughing, they were laughing later in the game. This was so the interaction between that interaction with the eye poke happened early in the game in the first half, and the laughing was in the second half. So not related. But that was the second question. The second question was, hey, were you laughing at this? And Desjardins like, no, that was not what I was doing at all. And if you all want photo proof of them two laughing, I have a photo that I put as my thumbnail for a previous video, and it is of both Desjardins and Marina Mabrey laughing. This was late in the game. Late late in the game that they were laughing at. So you're winning, you're happy, you're excited, you laugh. But so that was basically what happened, right? And then we see a lot of stuff on the internet. A lot of players are upset with the questioning. Some fans are upset with the questioning. There's a lot of talk on social media about why did this lady ask this question, yada, yada, yada. And a couple days pass. We ultimately see the WNBPA today make a statement about it. And we're going to read the statement together, okay? So here is the statement that the WNBPA said. It said, on behalf of the 144, this week was dedicated to celebrating and amplifying Asia, Caitlin, Dejanay, and Nafisa for their hard work and truly exceptional performances all season long. We were not going to distract from their successes, nor would we dim the glow of the spotlight that centered them. They have earned that focus and celebration. But we will take this moment now to stand up for them and the rest of the members, every single one of them, because we call BS. Now, here's the thing, guys. There's a couple things about this statement. Number one is the fact that this statement was clearly written a while ago, and they were waiting until the end of the week to release it. However, when they released this, I don't think they totally thought it through, because it says this week was dedicated to celebrating and amplifying Asia, Caitlin, Dejanay, and Nafisa for their hard work and truly exceptional performances all season. We know Asia won the MVP. That was already announced by the WNBA earlier. We know Dejanay won Sixth Woman Most Improved Player of the Year. That was announced earlier, right? Caitlin and Nafisa, the WNBA had not announced that yet. But we all know that Caitlin won the Rookie of the Year for the WNBA. Now, AP has announced their awards, but the WNBA had not announced their award for a Rookie of the Year or Defensive Player of the Year. But the fact that Caitlin's name is mentioned in here, that means, of course, she won the Rookie of the Year. That wasn't even a question. And it means that Nafisa Collier must have won Defensive Player of the Year. Now, has not been officially announced by the WNBA, but the WNBPA must have assumed that at this point those awards would have been announced, and so they have accidentally announced it. So anyway, they say, but now we will take this moment to stand up for them and the rest of our members, every single one of them, because we call BS. Now let's go through what they say. It says, to unprofessional members of the media like Christine Brennan, you are not fooling anyone. That so-called interview in the name of journalism was a blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete into participating in a narrative that is false, designed to fuel racist, homophobic, and misogynistic vitriol on social media. You cannot hide behind your tenure. Says, instead of demonstrating the cornerstones of journalism ethics like integrity, objectivity, and a fundamental commitment to truth, you have chosen to be indecent and downright insincere. You have abused your privileges and do not deserve the credentials issued to you, and you certainly are not entitled to any interviews with the members of this union or any other athlete in sport. Those credentials mean that you can ask anything, but they also mean that you should know the difference between what you should and should not. We see you. They're going in. They're going in. Says, our relationship with the media is a delicate one that we will continue to strengthen because the media is essential to grow in the game. No one knows that better than we do. But the players are entitled to better. They are entitled to professionalism. And it finishes off saying, we call on USA Today Network to review its principles of ethical conduct for newsrooms. and address what we believe is a violation of several core principles, including seeking and reporting the truth. USA Today Sports should explain why a reporter with clear bias and ulterior motives was assigned to cover the league. We also urge the league to review its policies and take measures to prevent such issues, protecting the integrity of the game and its players. So that is what the 144, the WNBPA, had to say, written by Terry Carmichael Jackson, the executive director of the Players Association. So that is what they said in a statement that was released earlier today. Now, a couple things about this. They said in the statement, let's go back to it. They said in the statement that Christine has abused her privileges and does not deserve credentials. A thing to note is that the WNBPA does not issue credentials. They don't. The WNBA issues credentials. And it says, and you are certainly not entitled to any interviews with the members of this union or any other athlete in sport. Those credentials mean that you can ask anything, but they also mean that you know the difference between what you should and should not ask. All right. And they said, we see you. So it was a pretty scathing, I would say, message to Christine Brennan. Now, after this message was put out there, of course, Christine, her company, which is USA Today, the main company that she works for, USA Today, they did ultimately put out a statement. Now, this statement was put out there by their executive editor, and I want to read that for you all to see for yourself. All right. So in a statement, Roxana Scott, USA Today's sports executive editor, said this. She said, journalists ask questions and seek truth at USA Today. Our mission is to report in an unbiased manner. We reject the notion that the interview perpetuated any narrative other than the player's perspective directly. Christine Brennan is well regarded as an advocate for women and athletes, but first and foremost, she is a journalist. All right, so that is what USA Today had to say, and Christine ended up retweeting it on her Twitter account. Now, a thing again, guys, a thing to note is that Christine Brennan, again, she's writing a book right now. She's writing a book about Caitlyn. So it's safe to say that the reason why she asked what she asked was because it was in relation to Caitlyn. Sure, she might write something about the WNBA in her in her going and watching the games and whatnot, but the story is Caitlyn, not the WNBA as a whole. And that's something that, may have gotten missed in ultimately what she's trying to do, because she's trying to write a book. She's trying to write a book, and of course she wants people to buy it, right? And so I get why she asked the questions that she asked. Now I also get the WNBPA's response to that. I get the anger that folks on social media has shown towards that, right? So I get it. I get it. Because she has a goal and an agenda, and everybody else has a goal and agenda. Some of the language Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys have an absolute point. Like Gen C says, using the term swatted was a choice and narrative she was perpetuating. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly says, like I said, she is trying to go viral. If the story is simply just about Clark, then why put the video of the question being asked? Yeah, because she's trying to go viral. I think you're like honestly, you're spot on. Yeah, she's trying to go viral. Yes. The story is Caitlyn, but she has to have something. Well, she wants to have something to write. And so she is going to ask certain questions. Jay Hamilton says, also using her laughing quarters later, girl. Yeah. And I really do wonder if Christine actually like was truly clocking the game and watching, or if she saw before the interview that because before she did this interview, I saw that morning, I saw that I saw a lot of people online saying that Dejanay was laughing about poking Caitlyn in the eye and showing the clips and all that stuff about it. And I was like, wait, that happened quarters later. But people online were acting like it happened right after. But it didn't. And I wonder if maybe she saw that and she's like, oh, this must have happened right after. And then she asked the question, not doing her due diligence to see that like that laughing was actually way after, way after, Caitlyn got poked in the eye. And so that's a thing. All right. So that's the situation. That's the situation with the WNBPA, with Christine Brennan, with USA Today. That is all that, from what I can tell, those are all the official statements that have been put out there. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's it. We move. Okay. That is it on this topic. Just want to let y'all know what's going on. You all can make up your own conclusions about I don't know, whatever you feel about it. And we move. Okay. All right. So we move from that to still confusion as to what the Chicago Sky is doing. So yesterday around this time yesterday, I was on a live stream talking about Dejanay Carrington, and then someone put a super chat in there saying that Teresa Weatherspoon was fired. I was like, no way. I looked it up. Turns out she actually indeed was fired. And it unofficially came out yesterday. The story was broke by Annie Costable of the Sun-Times. And then earlier today, we saw a message that was officially posted by the Chicago Sky, where they officially thanked Teresa Weatherspoon and basically said that she was fired. Now this is what Nadia Rawlinson, who is Nadia Rawlinson is the co-owner and chief operating chairman of the WNBA. And the thing to know about her is that she's basically the spokeswoman. So anytime the Sky ownership group wants to say anything, Nadia is saying it, right? She was brought on a little while ago, and ever since then, she is the face that says everything related to the Sky. The principal owner of the Sky is a man named Michael Alter. He rarely says anything. The person who does all the speaking for the Chicago Sky, for the most part, is Nadia Rawlinson. All right. And so she posted saying, after careful consideration, we have decided that it is in the best interest of the organization to part ways with head coach Teresa Weatherspoon. We are deeply appreciative of Coach Teaspoon's contributions to the Chicago Sky and the energy and passion she brought to the head coaching role. We thank her for inspiring a competitive, resilient spirit across the team, synonymous with Chicago Sky basketball. We remain steadfastly committed to being a playoff and championship contender every year. And we will be embarking on a thorough search for our next head coach. Teaspoon will always be a part of the Skytown family, and we wish her the very best. So that is what was said. That was what was said in a statement from Nadia Rawlinson. And this post was extremely vague. Extremely, extremely vague. Because again, you say that you're deeply appreciative of Teaspoon's contributions, the energy and passion she brought to it, and you say that she inspired a competitive, resilient spirit across the team, which are positives. But then you also say that you are parting ways with her. You also say that she's leaving. So it leaves some confusion as to if she had energy and passion, if she inspired the team to be resilient and competitive. What gives? What gives? What exactly is the reason why you are getting rid of her? Now, this is something, the actual reason, we probably won't know for a long time, okay? Teresa Weatherspoon has not openly spoke about the situation just yet. We did see Kennedy Carter post on social media. She's upset about it. We also saw a post from Angel Reese as well about it. And clearly, the two, in my opinion, best players on the team are not happy about this situation. They have both spoke at length about what Teresa Weatherspoon means to them in particular. And it's a question of where in the world does this team go? All right. And again, in the statement, Nadia also says, we remain steadfastly committed to being a playoff and championship contender every year. Now, firing your first year head coach, who hasn't even been on the job for a year yet. This is actually less than a year. This is 11 months and some change that she has actually been on this job. She was hired for this job in October of 2023. We are now in September of 2024. This has not even been a year. If you are trying, the idea that Nadia says that the Sky are committed to being a playoff and championship contender, it doesn't help you get there. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help to build confidence in the next head coach that will be coming in, that they will actually really get an opportunity, or if they will also be terrified that they're about to get fired less than a year after being hired. Yes, this is the first time in, I believe, 5 years that the Chicago Sky did not make the playoffs. This is a team that has been injured all season. There were 2 games this season that everybody on the Sky was healthy. 2 games, and that was it. All right. Camilla was injured to start the season. Then we had Elizabeth Williams, and it sort of went on down the line from there. But I did want to specifically share 2 clips from the Queens of the Court podcast. So that's the podcast that Sheryl Swoopes is on. And Sheryl Swoopes said that she talked with Teaspoon earlier today. And Teaspoon talked to her about the situation. And we're going to hear Cheryl's take based off of the information that she learned from Teaspoon. All right. So let's watch that together.
First of all, Spoon don't want to be a part of that family. You treated her like trash.
Oh, also, this is a clip that's about 11 minutes into the episode. watch the episode. I highly encourage you to watch the full thing or listen to the full thing. It's called Queens of the Court Podcast. You can find it anywhere you get podcasts. But Sheryl read the statement that I just read to y'all from Nadia Rawlinson, and here is her response right after reading that.
First of all, Spoon don't want to be a part of that family. You treated her like trash. Sorry, but you did. And if the expectations were to make the playoffs, win a championship, or get fired, she wouldn't have taken the job. I'm 100% sure of that.
Nobody would. That is a complete setup for failure, especially when you look at the roster that she was given and you make a mid-season trade that takes away one of your top scorers.
Jordan, but even through all of that, they were like a game or two away from getting that final playoff spot. Look, first of all, she walked into a hot mess. If you look at the history of the Chicago Sky, and I know a lot of people on Twitter have posted it, everybody is very well aware of what has happened with the Chicago Sky. Coaches don't get a long opportunity, let alone a Black female head coach. And the Chicago Sky don't go well together. And you know what's crazy is Nadia, being a Black female, can you advocate for our sister and just give her a little bit more grace? You put this statement out, and of course it's Nadia putting the statement out, right? You're a Black woman, so they're not going to come for you because we fired a Black woman. Michael Alter, where are you?
What a mess.
And so he wasn't even in the room when they fired her.
That's shocking.
It was Nadia and I don't know, Jeff, some other guy. I don't want to put his name because that may not be the right person. But I'm not going to get into all of that because, again, that's Spoon's story. But I am livid. People with way more talent have been given more opportunity, given longer to turn a program around or franchise around than Spoon was. And when you look at, first of all, what she walked into, right? A hot mess. And when you look at what she went through in the season, so Camilla starts the season off. She doesn't play because she has a shoulder injury.
So then she goes through all the injuries. But what I did want to just sort of reiterate and talk about is the fact that one, Sheryl Swoopes says that the principal owner of the Chicago Sky, Michael Alter, was not in the room when this decision was made or when it was announced to Teresa Weatherspoon that she was going to be let go. Now, I'm sure he's a busy man and whatnot, but you are getting rid of kind of like the most visible figure for the Chicago Sky when it comes to, the administration, right? The coach is more visible than the GM, is more visible than the ownership group and all that stuff, right? The coach is extremely visible. And so to let go of someone and not even have the main owners that have the bigger stake into the organization is, at least in my opinion, a little bit interesting, right? And so, yeah, that's a thing. Let's skip to another part in the clip that I want to specifically, that I really want to specifically call out.
Then to say this, I'm going to say this and I'll be done. You're saying free agents don't want to come to Chicago because they don't want to play for Spoon.
Supposedly that was what Teaspoon was told, was that players didn't want to go and play for her. I say bullshit.
Yeah.
And I know that. I know that with 100% that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Free agents don't want to go to Chicago because of the organization. Let's just keep it real.
And let's look back at some players. When we just go back to like you're saying.
Let's do.
Sylvia Fowles, this is 2015, wanted out. Elena Deladon, wanted out. Kalia Copper, wanted out. Candace Parker, bounced. Courtney Vandersloot, bounced. Allie Quigley didn't come back. Emma Messiman left. That's just a handful. Marina Mabry isn't even on that list, and that was just this season.
Listen, Gabby Williams, when she was communicating with Angel back and forth on Twitter, said, listen, sis, it ain't you. I love to play for you.
She said it.
I ain't coming back to play for that organization because of the way they treated me. And all of those players you just listed, Spoon wasn't there. So don't say they don't want to come there because of her.
That is a great point. And I also want to say, when we talk about, just take the basketball part out of it. If you are just going to a job and you're maybe being interviewed for a company and you see all of the people leaving so disgruntled and angry,
why would you want to come?
And set up to fail, and how they dismissed Teaspoon, why would you want to come in and take this job? Like, it's actually not an appealing job
it's not.
to take. So then how is that going to hurt future seasons when you have a star like Angel Reese, and it's going to be whoever takes this job also not set up for success. And that's going to hurt even further down the line.
Yeah, and that was basically the gist of at least that section of the podcast. And again, I really do recommend you all go and actually watch or listen to the whole thing. But that's what Sheryl Swoopes has said. And the reason why I wanted to actually show this clip is because Sheryl Swoopes has actually talked to Teresa Weatherspoon. She talked to Teaspoon today, and that's from her conversation with Teaspoon is how this sort of topic got started, and the stuff that she said. And so a thing to note is that Sheryl Swoopes also said that Teresa Weatherspoon will talk when she's ready, right? She'll talk when she's ready, and so we likely will be hearing something from Teresa Weatherspoon in the very, very near future. Not in the very near future. I would say at least in the next couple of months, we will hear something from her. What I wanted to show you all is just sort of the stark contrast of where we have gotten. Because the official announcement about Teresa Weatherspoon, it happened on October 24th, 2023. And what I want to do is I want to show you all video of Nadia Rawlinson and what she said about Teresa Weatherspoon at the time. And we're going to contrast that to like what is now the thing regarding Teresa Weatherspoon. All right. And so I'm going to show that video, and we're going to look at specifically what Nadia Rawlinson had to say last year when they were welcoming Teresa Weatherspoon. This was at Teaspoon's introductory press conference last year. And so I want to try to give this the fullest context, and then we move on. And then I'm like fully all about the actual WNBA playoffs that is still happening right now, and the next matchups that we will have. All right, so let me play this, and we are going to kind of watch it all together. All right, so here is that press conference. This press conference featured Nadia Rawlinson, the co-owner for the Sky, and spokesperson. Also, it featured Kalia Copper, who at the time had just re-signed to the Sky, And it features the brand new head coach that was just announced, the head coach in Teresa Weatherspoon. This is the introductory press conference, okay? Introductory press conference. Let's take a listen to it.
And now we have our new head coach. The future's bright for the Sky, and we're just getting started. And Teresa Weatherspoon is a critical part of that vision. So I just want to say a few words about Teresa. I know she was like, please don't, like, you're going to embarrass me, but I'm going to embarrass her for the sake of everyone, to remind everyone who exactly she is. She has been recognized by 5 different Hall of Fames, most notably the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, named one of the 20 best and most influential players in the history of the WNBA. She has been in and around women's basketball as a 5-time All-Star athlete and as a coaching executive, both at the collegiate and professional level. She was a top 10 pick in the WNBA's inaugural draft, but also represented our country as a gold medalist on the global stage in the Olympics. She brings over 10 years of coaching experience to the Sky, most recently as an assistant coach with the NBA's New Orleans Pelicans before taking on the head coaching role here. Teaspoon has done the work. She's demonstrated excellence at every level, time and time again. Her bona fides are unquestioned. And at the end of the day, I know you to be someone who is down to earth, real, cool, the youngest of 6 siblings, and is someone who's dedicated to her family. The Chicago Sky is in the privileged position to have you as part of this organization. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
So guys, that was Nadia Rawlinson and what she had to say. Not even a year ago. And it once again leaves us a little bit like, scratching our heads, like, what happened? What happened? All the amazing stuff that you had to say about her, when she took the role, and then stuff clearly changed, and now Teresa Weatherspoon is out. Lil Nation, thank you so much for the super chat, says, tried to say yesterday there was a silent war between Spoon and the front office all year. She lost the locker room and organization feels forced to do a soft rebuild now. More will be revealed soon. Okay, well, Lil Nation, I am interested for more for more to be revealed. I don't know what happened in the locker room. No one knows what happened in the locker room besides the people who were actually in the locker room and the people that they told. Like, I don't know, Lil Nation, if you're one of the people that they told or like whatever the situation is. But I don't know. We'll wait for more information, Lil Nation. If you have it and proof, please share it. All right. So again, that's the situation. That's the situation of what happened. And this team has been dealt a big blow. Last year we started the season off. Last year, the Chicago Sky started the season off with James Wade as the head coach. James Wade was the head coach and GM for the Chicago Sky. At the start, in May of 2023, James Wade was the head coach. All right. Then he decides to leave the Chicago Sky and go over to the New Orleans Pelicans, or not New Orleans Pelicans, to the Toronto Raptors, to become an assistant coach for their team. And he left mid-season. And decided to leave the team. So he was the GM and the head coach. He left. Then the Chicago Sky made Emery Vatansever. Emery was an assistant coach at the time. Emery Vatansever was an assistant coach for the Sky in 2023. They made him the interim head coach. All right. So Emery, interim head coach. for the remainder of last year. And after the season was over, he wasn't totally sure if he was going to come back or not, if they were going to have him come back on a permanent status or what. And they ended up doing a search, and they picked up Teresa Weatherspoon, right? She has been a head coach in college. She was on the, she served on the staff with the New Orleans Pelicans. She did some commentary stuff for women's basketball. They hire her as the head coach. All right. She had no head coach experience in professional basketball. Of course, she did in college, but no experience during that. So, again, this is October of 2024 or 2023 that they announced this. They announced the head coach role before they announced the GM. So this was before this guy ever had a GM, because again, they lost their GM in James Wade when he left. So James Wade left. He was the coach and GM. Emery came in, was the interim. After the season's over, you say sayonara to Emery. You bring in Teresa Weatherspoon as the head coach only, and the Sky still have a hole. So, the team needed to kind of move fast to bring somebody in as a head coach, because again, free agency is a thing, and the Sky needed to have their stuff in order to sort of build confidence in free agents to want to pick Chicago. All right. So she came in as the head coach, no GM at the moment. She came in as the head coach. Then a little while later, the Chicago Sky end up announcing Jeff Pagliacca as their general manager. Now, the announcement for Jeff Pagliacca, that happened on November the 7th. All right. So in October of 2023, they announced their head coach. In November of 2023, the Chicago Sky announced their GM. Usually, GMs kind of pick their head coaches, usually, right? Or they have some sort of say about who the head coach is. For the Chicago Sky, they were going to do it backwards. And in the introductory press conference of Teaspoon, it was sort of acknowledged about that, that, it's going to be a collaborative process with Teresa, Nadia, and others involved, so they can collectively decide, get a GM. And Jeff Pagliacca was brought on, right? And again, his announcement was done on November the 7th, 2023, after Teresa Weatherspoon was announced as coach. Then we heard, hey, Jeff and Teresa Weatherspoon, they're working hand in glove. They're working together constantly, right? They are talking all the time, even in the exit interview that Teresa Weatherspoon had, one that I don't believe she knew that she was going to get fired when she did that exit interview. She talked about talking with Jeff constantly. I believe she mentioned daily talking to Jeff Pagliacca, and it's one of those things where so the Sky was. They said they were doing things differently. They said that, hey, we are not like other teams. We are going to, get our coach before our GM, and those two are going to be partners in building a team of the future. Clearly, that did not happen. Clearly, that did not happen, and we see the results. Okay, so there was a lot of stuff that happened this year, right? There was an announcement about, one, there was the fact that before the season started, the GM, Jeff Pagliacca, and Teresa Weatherspoon, the head coach, were trying to get free agents, right? And they had their eyes set on two main free agents. The two main free agents was Skylar Diggins-Smith, and it was Nneka Ogwumike. All right, so both of those free agents, lots of teams were trying to get them on their squad, and they chose not to go to Chicago. They liked Teresa Weatherspoon. They liked her as a coach. They liked her as a person. They liked Chicago, but they chose not to. They chose not to go to Chicago because the Chicago Sky was playing in a park gym. The Chicago Sky was playing in the suburbs, the sort of the northern suburbs of sorts, and they were playing in a local gym. It's not a YMCA, but it's sort of like that vibe of sorts. They did get their court painted and whatnot, but they literally were working out and playing in a space where elderly people, kids, and others were just, hanging out, right? It was not a professional practice facility that they're practicing at. It was a local rec center, basically. And Skylar and Nneka didn't want no parts of that. They wanted no parts of that, so they decided to go to Seattle, who just built an amazing facility, and that's what they wanted to do. All right, and so once they decided to go to Seattle, Clea Copper, it was supposedly already agreed upon that if Copper doesn't get the type of talent that she wants around her, she wanted a trade. And so way before the season started, before the draft even happened, after it was determined that clearly they weren't going to get the free agents that they wanted, they traded Clea Copper for some pieces, which also included the seventh pick in the this past 2024 WNBA draft. So Copper gets traded because she requested it, not because they wanted to move her. Because she requested it, she got traded to the Phoenix Mercury. We get the number 7 pick. That 7 pick ends up being Angel Reese, and now this team has Camila Cardoso, drafted. We have Angel Reese. You also signed Kennedy Carter, who was a player who was an absolute rock star, like fantastic player in college, good player in the WNBA, but couldn't really gel with the team. She was drafted to the Atlanta Dream. It didn't work out. Got traded to the LA Sparks. Didn't work out. She was out of the league. There were coaches that did not want to take a risk on Kennedy Carter, even though Kennedy Carter is exceptionally talented. She was out of the league for a reason. They didn't want they for some reason they did not want to play her to play with them. Jeff and Teresa Weatherspoon signed Kennedy Carter on a training camp contract, not even a regular season contract. They signed her on a training camp contract. She then dominates in training camp. She plays so well at the beginning of the season that the Chicago Sky end up making a change in their starting lineup. Initially, to start the season, you had Diamond DeShields and Dana Evans in the starting lineup. You ultimately have I lost my train of thought. You ultimately have both of those players go to the bench, and you have Lindsay Allen, who gets a starting nod, and Kennedy Carter. And that was basically the way the rest of the season went, with some sort of combination of Lindsay Allen, Kennedy Carter, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, and Michaela Onyenwere or someone like that, right? So that's sort of the thing. There were a lot of miscues that happened, definitely, to actually start the season in terms of like not getting the people that you wanted to get in free agency. But you have a team, you're working through the kinks, you're trying to figure out what the status is of this team in the future. You have guards who are used to playing a certain type of style. And everything wasn't all copacetic, right? Not everybody was happy about the minutes that they were getting, especially when the lineup was shaking around. There were players were asked to do certain things that they're not used to doing. It was a desire to play sort of low post basketball, which is something that the players on Sky weren't really used to doing, and something that they didn't necessarily really know that they were going to do coming into it. And it led to a lot of issues. It led to a lot of fans saying a lot of stuff to players. It left confusion, right? And also the attention that this new draft class got, the attention that Angel Reese got and all that stuff. It also led to some locker room stuff as well, which, was talked about by Izzy and Dana. On the court, there were some, like, from an X's and O's standpoint, there was stuff left to be desired, right? There were decisions made about personnel, like who was on the floor at certain times when the games are closing out, that did leave some stuff to be desired, right? But you then think about, well, yeah, but this is a first year head coach, right? This is a first year head coach. She's new to the team. You hired her with no head coach experience on a professional level. You hired her with no experience on from a head coach perspective. So you knew that coming in. The head coach has never been a head coach before in the professional level, and the GM that you brought in has never been a GM before on a professional level. All right, so it's not just Teresa Weatherspoon that didn't have any experience. Jeff Pagliacca was also never a GM before this. And so you had two new people in their positions. And the assumption was, if the ownership group is comfortable with brand new sort of people at these roles, clearly they have to be okay with growing pains. They have to be okay with stuff not totally going the way that the ownership group wants, because you hired people who are inexperienced, people who have talent, people who have a lot of potential, but people with inexperience. But it turns out that wasn't the case. It turns out that they wanted more out of Teresa Weatherspoon, and they made the decision to part ways with her, aka fire her. One interesting thing to note is that according to, like, when the LA Sparks put out their presser about parting ways with their head coach, they used the term parting ways. They mutually agreed to part ways, right? But when the Chicago Sky made their announcement about their sort of coaching change, it said, the statement said, it is in the best, again, let's look at it again. It is in the best interest of the organization to part ways with head coach Teresa Weatherspoon. And so even in the language that's used, it's pretty different. It is pretty different versus what was said about Kurt Miller, who mutually agreed to part ways with the LA Sparks. And so, that's a thing. That's a thing that that I think we should acknowledge, right? That's a thing that we should acknowledge, and we should talk about. And I did wanna actually like speak on another topic, or not another topic. It's related to this. But first, I do want to get to y'all comments. Thank y'all so much for the super chats. I really do appreciate that so much. All right. Sherna says, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I feel like they use Teaspoon as a scapegoat. How can they get rid of a first-year head coach in a rebuild year? Feeling like the front office is a dumpster fire. It went away. No wonder players are and have asked to leave. Yeah, but I would say a thing to note is that while fans and observers of the WNBA recognize this as a rebuilding year for the Sky never said that this was a rebuilding year. They never said it. When Nadia and Teresa Weatherspoon would be asked about it, they said this is not a rebuild year. This is not a rebuild year. They have been adamant about saying that, even though neutral observers can clearly see that it was a rebuilding year. All right. MMAP, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, in what sports organization does a team hire the coach before the GM? The GM typically picks the coach they feel match the roster they're constructing. Yeah, this is a thing that it is a surprise. It is a surprise that they did that, right? You know, again, you don't really see head coaches selected before the GM. Like this was the first time I really remember this happening for a professional team, them hiring the head coach before the GM. It's not a thing. It's not a thing that happens often. All right, or at all that I can remember, at least. Sharna says, Sky front. It says, Sky front office can't keep blaming the coach. The coaches aren't hiring themselves. It went away. Players have to adjust if the front office is serious about winning. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that. Yeah. It's interesting, very much interesting times, okay? Very much interesting times. There is an article that was written that I want to talk about real quick, but I also want to just do these I want to finish out these super chats. And then we'll get to the article that talks about potential alternatives to Teresa Weatherspoon that they looked at the time when they hired her as the head coach. All right, so let's do the super chats, and then we will get to that article. All right. All right. Lil Nation, thank you for the super chat. Says multiple players requested trades. One was granted to recoup assets. Players felt that favorites got priority over winning. Locker room got lost. That's it keep going away. That's inside info from front office. There was a Cold War. Okay. All right. Little Nation says it was a Cold War inside of the Sky organization. And again, guys, we don't know if any of this is true. Little Nation, we don't know exactly what Little Nation's connection is to the Sky, or if there is a connection. But thank you so much for the super chat. And we will find out really what happened once we truly hear real talk from Nadia Rawlinson, like real talk about truly not just a PR spin of separating, but once we hear real talk of what happened from Nadia Rawlinson, from Michael Alter, who probably will never say anything, but at least Nadia probably, maybe, hopefully says something that actually gives real information soon. And we'll hear something once Teresa Weatherspoon or a player actually really says something. Ant, thank you so much for the super chat, says the Sky front office must wanted Teaspoon to do what Becky Hammon did. LOL, Becky and Hammon inherited a better team though. Yeah. The Aces was extremely good before Becky Hammon was brought in. And then she was brought in. She just changed up the offense, went to a faster NBA style offense, and then boom, they took off, right? But the Sky was not that. The Sky was basically decimated as a team, as a roster. Literally, the top 5 players of 2022 weren't even on the team to start the season last year, or this year, I should say. So it's a very, very different team. Chaps, thank you so much for the super sticker. It is a pair character turning around, waving his hand, saying, "Hey, you," while lowering his glasses. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super sticker. Davey, thank you so much for the super chat, says it can be true that the Sky management is the dumpster fire and that Spoon needed more experience before getting this position. Spoon is one of the best ever to play the game. That doesn't always translate to coaching. Well, facts. That is absolutely a thing. But also it's a thing that the Sky knew that Teresa Weatherspoon needed more experience before they hired her. You hired her knowing that, she had NBA experience on a sort of assistant level, on a player development level, and she had head coaching experience on a collegiate level, but that she never had head coach experience on a pro level. You knew about her experience going into this, and yet you hired her, and then you fired her. Stern12, aka Chris, thank you so much for the super chat, says, so what other non-playoff coach is next? Well, not sure. But, could be Latricia Trammell of the Dallas Wings. I like her. I do think also that she needs another year. Generally, I really do say that coaches should have 2 or 3 years, especially in the WNBA, before you really, really, really can truly evaluate them and see the success. Dallas was not very good this year at all. They also dealt with a lot of injuries, and you had, one of the best players on the team, Satu Sabali, come to the team really late, right? There's a lot of stuff that the Dallas Wings have dealt with. I think if someone else is leaving, it might be her. But we'll see. We'll ultimately see what happens. Rissa, thank you so much for the super chat, says, hey, Quita, watch from Memphis, Tennessee. A super fan of Rakia, off subject a bit. But I hope Lisa Leslie gets a chance to coach for the Sparks if she wants it. Does Lisa Leslie coach? To be fully honest with you, I don't know if she's ever coached before. I don't know. I don't know what Lisa Leslie. I mean, I see her on TV when she makes an appearance, commentating or whatever. But does she have coaching experience? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think the thing that teams have to, it depends on if she has coaching experience. But I think Carolyn Peck told them to call her, so we'll see if Carolyn Peck ends up with that job. Tony says, why do you continue to make excuses for Teaspoon? She's not a good coach, maybe a good friend. Tony, I don't actually see it as making excuses for Teaspoon. It's me acknowledging reality of where we are. Teresa Weatherspoon did not have pro coaching experience. Nadia Rawlinson, Michael Alter, Dwayne Wade, all the owners of the Chicago Sky knew that she did not have pro head coaching experience. They all knew that, right? They all knew that. We also know that this team is a shell of itself in terms of players, and in terms of continuity and experience playing together. This roster barely featured anybody who was actually on the team last year. The Chicago Sky is the most brand new team of any WNBA team this year. They had more new players than any other WNBA team this year. You have a new coach, you have a new GM, new system, new assistant coaches. Everything for the Chicago Sky was new. So you have to acknowledge that. You also have to acknowledge that, yes, absolutely. She had a lot of missteps in some of the X's and O's strategy of it all, right? Of game management, of when to call a timeout, when not to call a timeout, that type of thing. There was a lot to be desired about this season. But you have to, if you're going to hire a brand new coach who has not coached in the professional game before as a head coach, you should know that you're probably going to expect this. You should know that this could possibly happen. Goro says basically what Quita is saying: why hire someone with no coaching experience just to fire them after 1 year? That is what I am saying. That is 100% what I am saying. And I don't think that's me caping for Teresa Weatherspoon to say that. I think I literally would say the same thing regardless of what team and who coach it is. It just so happens I am a Sky fan, but truly I am trying my best to look at this as a neutral observer of like what somebody who just has eyes and ears and have been paying attention would think. And as a neutral observer, I think logically it makes no sense what the Sky front office has done. Shanita says, thank you so much for the super chat, says Jeff wanted to pick his own head coach in my opinion. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that's the case. Thank you so much, Seti, for the super chat. Says, how is this not a rebuilding year when everyone except 3 players are new, including coaches and GM? The Sky's owners / front office not living in reality is another reason the organization is terrible. It was literally a brand new team this year. Brand new. Especially after losing, Clea Copper right before the season and not being able to pick up some, high level talent like a NECA and like a Skylar. Yeah, this team is brand new head coaches, brand new head coaches. Like there's more than one. Brand new head coach, brand new assistant coaches, brand new GM. The only thing that was consistent is the lady who does the training. I believe her name is Anne. She's the training person for the Sky. Her and the practice, the guys who do the practice squad, those were the only people that stayed. Everybody, basically almost everybody else was brand new. So again, keep that in mind when you're sort of thinking about really evaluating this team. This was a rebuilding team, even though nobody in the Sky front office or coaches wanted to actually say it. It was a rebuilding year, though they didn't want to admit it. Kim Kelly, thank you so much for the super chat, says, can Angel demand a trade? She can. Will they give it to her? We'll see. She can. Any player can demand a trade at any time. Now, whether or not she'll get it is another question. The Sky, they gave Clea Copper a trade when she requested it. They gave Maria Mabry a trade when she requested it. They did not give Dana Evans a trade when she requested it, but I do believe they were trying to shop her at the time that she requested the trade. All right. So yeah, that's that. We got through all the super chats. Now I do want to show an article that sort of talks about the other options that the Sky were looking at the time when the Sky originally made the decision to hire Teresa Weatherspoon. All right, so we're gonna look at that, and then we are going to end our stream and stop talking about this because this is there's lots more pertinent information to talk about, i.e. we have the semifinals that's about to start. So yeah. Anyway, so this is an article from Annie Costabile of the Sun-Times. All right, so the article is called Sky Ownership's Failure Reflected in Decision to Fire Coach Teresa Weatherspoon. All right, but I want to specifically go down to here. I want to go down right here. Okay. So it says the Sky's coaching search last year was limited. According to multiple sources, there might have been as few as 2 candidates. Weatherspoon and former Grizzlies assistant coach Sonia Rahman, who quickly determined she was not interested in the job. All right. And at the time, Adam Fox, the Sky's CEO, said, "We're looking to make the most informed and best decision possible to make sure we have the right people." And they, of course, said that Teresa Weatherspoon was that right person. You all heard that in Nadia Rollinson's introductory of her. When the announcement was made about her becoming the new head coach. It said, touting Weatherspoon as the right person to lead the Sky through a rebuild should have earned her at least 2 years to try. Firing her after 1 season was ownership's admission of failure after hiring a coach with no previous head coaching experience in the WNBA. According to multiple league sources, impending free agents have felt skeptical about considering the Sky as a destination because of apparent dysfunction. That dysfunction, however, isn't rooted in Weatherspoon's failings. After all, she was only with the franchise for 11 months. Says the Sky have earned a league-wide reputation for being pervasively inept, which is, that's terrible. Pervasively inept. The 2024 season merely reflected the instability their ownership has allowed to take hold. As a result, their attempt to attract free agents who can help them return to championship contention will remain a pipe dream. Dang, what an article, man. That's yeah. I mean, yeah, we kind of leave it at that. Yeah. That last sentence that's a bar right there. As a result, their attempt to attract free agents who can help them return to championship contention will remain a pipe dream. Jeez. So according to this article, which we'll see if more information is given, according to this article, there were 2 candidates. 2 candidates for the head coaching role, which is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. There should be way more candidates than 2. When you're seriously considering roles, even at my job, you seriously consider Rose? It's 3 people. 3 people, you whittle it down to 3 people, and that's what you do. All right. Like that's who you interview and whatnot, and you go through the full process, right? But to have just 2 candidates for the head coach role is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So that means your scope was crazy limited. There was way more than 2 candidates that you should have looked at. There should have been way more than 2 candidates. But the fact that there were only 2, and the fact that the Grizzlies assistant Sonia Rahman bowed out, this article makes it seem like this guy had no choice but to get Teresa Weatherspoon. Because if they only had 2 candidates and the other person bowed out, now you got 1, and you announce Teresa Weatherspoon. But also, while that's happening, the Sky CEO is telling everybody that they're looking to make the most informed and best decisions possible to make sure we have the right people. So the most informed and best way to decide on your new head coach is to have 2 candidates. That is the most informed and best decision, is to have 2 candidates. And really just 1, because the one you had said, peace out. Nah, I'm good. Bye-bye. Y'all have fun with this. And then you announce Teresa Weatherspoon. You say she has your full support, and y'all were so excited to get her and all this stuff. You're so excited. She is the future of our team and all this other stuff. All the while, according to this article, you barely did any searching because you only had 2 candidates. After the snap, movies and TVs, interesting name, says, Quita, where is that article from? So this article is on the Chicago Sun-Times site, written by Annie Costable. Looks like she wrote it earlier today. All right. The article name is Sky's Ownership Failures Reflected in Decision to Fire Coach Teresa Weatherspoon. All right. So that's the article. And this particular section is at the end of the article. All right. So yeah. Goro says, how did this organization win a championship? Well, 2 answers. Candace Parker, who decided that, it didn't matter that she wasn't gonna have a locker room, or her own locker and whatnot. She wanted to go home, so she decided to sign with the Chicago Sky. Also, Kalia Copper, who was developing, and really did help the Sky in that championship run. Of course, also Courtney Vandersloot and Allie Quigley were huge contributors as well. But really, it was Candace Parker. It was Candace Parker. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's everything. Well, that I wanted to at least go through. Guys, I think I'm over this conversation. I am over this situation that has happened. I will be moving on, and I hope you all do too, to the actual WNBA playoffs that are happening right now. We have some great games that we're going to be seeing come this weekend, and so I hope you all will be rocking with it. Angry Fan 07 says, "Come on, Quita, you bugging, don't leave." I mean, there is nothing else to say except for speculation and wild takes. There's nothing else to say. I've stated everything that that is provable, right? I've stated all the facts that I could, and that's about it. I really don't know what else there is to say. But yeah, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Again, the Chicago Sky parted ways. The Chicago Sky parted ways with Teresa Weatherspoon. And we'll see ultimately what happens for this team. Yeah, we'll see. Sefi says, "Will you be following any of the girls abroad?" Yeah. So I have. I'll be doing a lot of coverage of overseas play. Guys, the thing to know about my channel is I try to cover all women's sports that is in season at the moment, heavily. And so the college season will be starting in November, and so that'll be like the majority of my conversation. But I will also be following these players overseas and covering what's happening. And so yeah, that's the thing that I'll make sure to do. And also, guys, I am still working on sort of game and season in review videos for each of the teams. So that is something that I will have a season in review video for the Chicago Sky. I will have a season in review video for the WNBA as a whole. I'll have one for literally every team in the W. I'll have one overall for the WNBA and whatnot. So yeah, we do have that to look forward to. And so yeah, lots of commentary and analysis and history and all the stuff I'll be sharing with you all. So yeah. Seti asks, thank you so much for the super chat, Seti. Seti says, "What will happen to the Sky if they can't find a head coach?" I don't think that situation is possible. I don't think that could happen. That the Sky could actually get to the regular season and not have a head coach. Like I just don't think that'll happen. Guys, Mr. President is here, but he is asleep, and I'm not gonna bother him, so he can come on. He was kind of on the screen earlier, but he is off sleeping. So yeah. But Seti, I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's likely at all. Yeah, it's not happening. They're gonna have somebody. They're gonna put somebody in there, to be the head coach. The problem is, all of the good candidates that are out there, why would any of them want to come to the Chicago Sky? The Chicago Sky has not done anything to show that coaches and players, if you want to if you listen to Gabby Williams and whatnot, can trust them. The WNBA, the WNBA players and folks around, and whatnot, they all know about the Chicago Sky. All right, they all know what the Sky is all about. And again, as the article Annie wrote says, it literally says, the Sky have earned a league-wide reputation of being pervasively inept. So if you're if you are a top candidate for a head coaching role, would you really consider the Chicago Sky? If they have a reputation of being inept, if you have player after player wanting to leave the team, If you have, James Wade, who said peace out for an assistant coaching role. You have players demanding trades. You have an assistant coach who you just touted as the the leader of the future for your team. You just touted that 11 months ago. Now you're saying peace out after one season. You have a basically rookie GM. Why would a top talent head coach, why would top talent free agents want to play for the Sky? I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for that. I don't. Because again, the Sky have earned a league-wide reputation of being pervasively inept. Okay. And we move. Row 2, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, Quita, I'm ready for Sunday games. Yes, facts. Yeah, and I'm gonna tomorrow I'll have a preview of the games on Sunday. So if you're not aware about the teams that are going to be playing, I'll let y'all know about them and like what to expect and whatnot. Philip, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, you still on? Get some rest. Yeah, I'm getting off. But again, I thank y'all so much for rocking with me. If y'all could, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Guys, we are going to move on. We are going to move on to where our conversation really should be, which is on the playoffs that are actively happening right now, and not all of these other distractions and like stupid stuff that's happening. All right. But anyway, I thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Make sure to like, subscribe, get some merch if y'all want. I'm wearing one of my shirts right now. This says anybody can get got. Make sure y'all get some merch. Y'all can do that at qlsapparel.com. Once again, that is qlsapparel.com. I also do have a sweatshirt that I put out there. Y'all can get that as well. But again, guys, my goal is to cover women's basketball. I love women's basketball. I want to cover it. I talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. But truly, there is way more good than bad and ugly in the WNBA and in women's basketball. And we've had 3 straight streams of like not so great conversations. We're moving on and focusing on where the focus really should be. Because instead of me just saying the media should stop talking about the negative stuff and should focus on the games and all that stuff. Instead of me saying that, I think what I have actually just recently realized is that like now I might actually be media. I might be the media that I talk about in situations, and so I need to make sure that like my platform is a place where a place that actually highlights the game of women's basketball and actually like covers it the way it should be covered, and actually do the things that I say that the ESPNs and all these other people should do. And so go to other channels if y'all want to hear someone just speculate and just rail on the same thing that we already know. I've told you all the things that we know as of right now. If there is brand new information that's actually really relevant, I'll include it in a segment, but I don't think I'll make a separate video about it. Unless I really, really feel like I need to. But anyway, guys, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. If no one has told y'all, you matter, you are important. I'm happy that you're on this earth. Be kind to people, be respectful to people. Realize that when you are typing something in the chat, when you are talking to someone on the phone or texting someone or whatever, or somehow in any shape or form interacting with someone else, recognize that the person on the other end of your communication is a human being. They have thoughts, they have feelings, they have a mind. And there is a possibility that whatever you say and do could have a lasting impact on their lives. Do you want that to be negative or do you want that to be positive? Think about that and make your decisions on what you want to do and how you interact with other people. Guys, I love you. But most important, guys, Jesus loves you and he wants a relationship with you. Guys, I will see y'all tomorrow, okay? We got WNBA basketball to talk about, okay? We got some awesome games to talk about. So hope y'all are ready for it tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, and I will see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.